Before we start, please join the Discord community, link down below for me. When you click the link, the invite should appear as shown. Click accept invite for direct access to yours truly, your fellow community, as well as being notified every time we go live. You'll also be able to view all VODs from the Discord server, as well as any YouTube videos, and be notified when I post here on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, around 99% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. Make sure you fix that by hitting the subscribe button and turning on all notifications. If you do that, I can find the content for you and we can watch it together. Shout out to all my current subscribers as well as current subs on Twitch. We call y'all citizens, you feel me? And yeah, enjoy the video. What's good, YouTube? What am I doing? We got a video from someone new to the channel. Steinixos. The dog Stein about the attack potency problem. We're just gonna hop. Well, first, yeah, pre-fire like. But we're just gonna hop straight into it. We're gonna see if this dude pumps out authentic content. You know what I'm saying? Move from there.
Hey guys, Steinixos here. So today, as part of my power scaling fundamentals series, we'll be discussing the concept of attack potency, especially as it relates to destructive capacity. Now, the reason I'm covering this is because a lot of people, particularly those who aren't too familiar with power scaling, tend to not understand this concept. And as a result, whenever a power scaling discussion comes up, it almost always leads to someone making a comment along the lines of, that character can't be that strong because their attacks don't destroy a large enough area. Now, obviously, it would be pretty
yeah, because one, as the author, it is annoying to have every attack destroyed, blah, blah, blah. But also, AP matters because, for example, Shigaraki can destroy a city, but even before then, he's able to destroy anything he touches with all 5 of his fingers. So his AP there is like darn near erasure. So stuff like that does matter.
Tedious to re-explain the principle of attack potency every single time I make a scaling or battle related video. So that's exactly why I decided to create this dedicated video. Something that can be
we might have another scaler on our hands here. DJ, looks like we got a nodder. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see. We're gonna see if he tough. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see if he tough. I'm gonna subscribe. We're gonna see if he tough. Turn that bell on too. Time might have some comp.
Easily referenced whenever the topic comes up. With that said, let's get into it. Now, just as a quick primer, between these two attacks from Ichigo, which one do you think is stronger? So, if you know nothing about Bleach or power scaling, your intuition would probably tell you it's the one on the left side of the screen because of the massive destruction of the building you're seeing. In comparison, the Ichigo on the right is literally being blocked with a single hand, and there's not even so much as a shockwave. Like, obviously bigger means stronger, right? Well, not really. See, while intuitions like that can be helpful, they're not always reliable. There are plenty of cases where our intuitions lead us to the wrong conclusion, and this is one of them. Because in this specific situation, we know that the Ichigo on the left, who causes all that massive destruction, is basically base form or Shikai form Ichigo, closer to the beginning of the series. Meanwhile, the Ichigo on the right, the one whose attack is being blocked effortlessly.
And we know the stronger you get, the easier it is to compress, like make your sword smaller. So we know a sword, because it got smaller, we know for a fact he's not weaker, he compressed it more. Just similarly how in physics, pressure over area can equal the force applied to that area.
Is Ichigo over 300 chapters of growth later, having had to fight and overcome progressively stronger opponents, and who is currently in his Bankai form, which makes him anywhere from 5 to 10 times stronger than his base form. So there's really no question here. The Ichigo on the right, whose attack looks less impressive, is actually a far more powerful Ichigo.
No injured arm that he needs to tie his sword to. No cut on his eye. Like, you feel me? Type situation.
On the right, whose attack looks less impressive, is actually a far more powerful attack than the one on the left, despite the smaller area of effect. And thus we are now confronted with this key discrepancy between what our intuition tells us versus what is actually true. Like, how can an attack with a smaller area of effect be stronger than one with a larger area of effect? So, this is where the distinction between attack potency and destructive capacity comes into play. Now, destructive capacity typically describes the scale of an attack, like how big of an area can this attack.
And that's important because if you're fighting, like, let's say a giant who's billions of meters tall, and like my attack is like really strong, but it can only like pierce an area. His heart is so huge that even if I were to try to aim at his heart, assuming I know exactly where his heart is, it would like just leave a small laceration in his heart, even though this attack is stronger or the same like strength as an attack that, or say the same, huger. You feel me? Kind of like Thunder Spears and AOT.
Damage. So for example, here we have the Buggy Bomb, which is a cannonball explosive that can destroy multiple buildings with ease. And Buggy specifically tells us that it can destroy an entire small village, which for now we'll use as synonymous as a small town, in one shot. So assuming a standard small town size, we would say a Buggy Bomb has a small town level destructive capacity because it can literally destroy a small town in one shot. And note carefully, the in one shot part is very important because obviously less powerful explosives could also destroy a small town if you use multiple of them, but that would be the combined destructive capacity of all the explosive used, not the destructive capacity of any single explosive. Now attack potency on the other hand speaks to the effectiveness of an attack. How it relates to destructive capacity is that the attack potency of an attack would be the destructive capacity that the attack is equivalent to. So for example, here we have Luffy casually kicking Buggy and clearly hurting him. Now we know that Buggy is durable enough to take a Buggy Bomb head on without any damage whatsoever. So even though this kick from Luffy wouldn't have a literal small town area of effect of a Buggy Bomb, we know that it is still at least as strong as the Buggy Bomb.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is because potency in essence is really like something being compressed. You peep game. You peep that was Marco. That's elite ball knowledge. Later in the stream I'm gonna add that thing too to where when y'all put emotes, I can like they pop up or they go all over the screen.
Able to hurt Buggy, who can tank a Buggy Bomb with no damage. So we would say that Luffy's kick has an at least small town level attack potency. So an attack doesn't literally need to destroy a specific large area for us to say that it has a specific attack potency. And an attack with a much smaller area of effect can be much stronger than an attack with a much larger area of effect. And just to hammer this point in even further, because even after what I thought to be a very clear explanation, I still get comments like these saying that King Kong Gun, for example, can't have a country level attack potency because the aftermath of the attack did not physically destroy the entire island of Dressrosa. So to address this, let us take a look at Kaido for example. So we know that all of Kaido's attacks are stronger than a Dressrosa Luffy's King Kong Gun. And yet even so, here you can clearly see that the aftermath of Ragnarok from a hybrid form Kaido has a much smaller area of effect than a Dressrosa Luffy's King Kong Gun. As a matter of fact, the area of effect of Ragnarok is even smaller than the area of effect of Dressrosa Dawn size Drill Dragon Nail. But again, we obviously know that it is not weaker than these attacks. And it is also obviously silly to say that just because Kaido's Ragnarok only had the small area of effect of cratering a few meters of ground.
And I think another reason this is, also I'm going to speed this up, I think another reason this is important story-wise for a creator is because, dead serious, if this isn't true, and it's like, okay, this can destroy an entire like country-sized town. Now, 350 arcs later, this gotta be destroying the planet with their attacks. You feel me?
That it therefore cannot be above building level or city block level in strength. So now taking it back to the initial Ichigo comparison, this understanding of attack potency, that is the actual force or energy behind an attack, regardless of how much destruction it causes in the environment, is why we can confidently say that Ichigo's attack on the right, despite being blocked and causing almost no visible damage, is stronger than the one on the left, even though the left side shows a larger area of effect. Furthermore, even though most authors aren't power scalers in the same overly technical or sometimes cringe way you often see online, they do clearly understand the principle of attack potency. In fact, because they recognize its importance and the reality that a lot of readers don't fully grasp this concept, they usually take the time to either explain it directly or at least hint at it in the story. Take Ichigo's third fight against Grimmjow, for example.
Okay,
In
talk
that
to me.
fight, Grimmjow fires 5 of his talon projectiles at Ichigo. Now, at first glance, the attack feels pretty unimpressive. Ichigo just tanks the hits. There's no massive explosion, no shockwave, no
But he's
large-scale
bleeding.
destruction. Heck, it doesn't even cause Ichigo to flinch. But here's the thing. Kubo, the author of Bleach, clearly understands that most people aren't meticulously scaling Ichigo and Grimmjow, trying to analyze the true power behind every hit. Most readers are just going off what they see. And because this attack doesn't visually affect a large area, it might seem weak to the average viewer. That's exactly why, in the very next panel, Kubo has Grimmjow demonstrate what just one of those talons does to a nearby pillar. It completely obliterates it. Then, Grimmjow follows up by pointing out that Ichigo took 5 of those talons head-on without even budging. So Kubo is clearly going out of his way to give you both the visual evidence and the dialogue to drive the point home.
It's also important because as an author, you have to, in character, like, give them a reason to do this. If not, it can turn readers off because it gives this type of vibe that like everything's being explained, which makes things a little bit boring because it feels as if a narrator is talking to you. But for Grimmjow to say something like this is within character because that's like his personality. Like he's a cocky, you feel me? I mean, he slimed out who took his position just to get his position back.
Just because an attack has a small area of effect doesn't mean it's weak. In this case, it's not that the attack lacked power, it's that Ichigo was so strong, he absorbed all of the impact, preventing any widespread destruction. And again, this same principle is similarly explained by Oda in One Piece, where through Bonclave, he explains, truly high-level attacks focus and control the power of the attack into a small concentrated area of pure lethality, which does not cause any unnecessary destruction. So a very powerful kick from Bonclave, for example, could result in a perfectly symmetric hole without any cracks or other such unnecessary destruction of the greater structure of the building. Now you also need to understand that beyond just the power scaling side of things, there are important reasons why understanding attack potency really matters. First, and most obviously, it helps explain how high-level fiction, like Dragon Ball for example, can even function and continue escalating without everything constantly being annihilated. That is to say, if every single time someone with an attack potency of planetary or above punched someone into the ground, it literally needed to destroy the planet or even a continent, then most of high-level fiction just could not happen. And second, and probably more thematically important, is that many authors actually use an understanding of attack potency as a narrative marker for growth and mastery. Take the fight between Isshin and Grand Fisher for instance. Grand Fisher makes the same assumption.
This was so hard, bro. He's like, oh yeah, I know your sword mirrors the strength of your spiritual power. That get you seen one tap that and say, hey bro, you should know when you get to captain level, you can control yours. Boy, I'm like that.
Most of us would. That since his sword is bigger than Isshin's, it must be stronger. This assumption even seems justified, because in the early chapters of Bleach, it stated that the size of a Zanpakuto reflects the user's spiritual energy. But what Grand Fisher doesn't realize is the true nature of Isshin's sword. As a captain-level combatant, Isshin's spiritual pressure is immense. His actual blade would be the size of a building. But instead of swinging around some oversized weapon, captains compress that power into a much smaller, more manageable form without losing any of the strength behind it. This idea is also present in One Piece, not just with the Bonclay example we've already mentioned, but even as early as Zoro's fight against Mihawk. In that battle, Zoro comes at Mihawk using 3 full-size swords, and Mihawk counters with what's basically a toy-sized dagger. Mihawk even says he would have used a smaller blade if he had one available. The whole scene is designed to show just how refined and overwhelming Mihawk's strength is. And this same principle is echoed late is designed to show
that is a grown man sprinting. Just and then it said doop. He gave him a little boop on the nose like he a little animal or something.
Mihawk even says he would have used a smaller blade if he had one available. The whole scene is designed to show just how refined and overwhelming Mihawk's strength is. And this same principle is echoed later in Alabasta during Zoro's fight with Mr. One. At the start of the fight, Zoro is completely unable to damage him. But after learning the concept of cutting nothing, a technique where Zoro learns to control what he cuts, Zoro is able to land a clean, decisive blow and one-shot Mr. One. That moment shows his growth, not just in power, but in finesse and understanding of how to concentrate that power effectively. So again, just because an attack doesn't cause a massive explosion or
destructive capacity does not equal attack potency. Can there be correlation? Yes, but attack potency is the concentration of what the destructive capacity could be, because as potent implies something like density, a thing in a small area, potent, you feel me? The more potent a smell is, the more of the smell particles are there, type. You feel me? So like some people's cologne, very potent. That's annoying, right? Same thing goes for destructive capacity. The more potent destructive capacity it has, the higher the AP. But it is not a 1-to-1 ratio. It doesn't mean if you have, you know what I'm saying, mountain level AP, you can't, you know what I'm saying, punch a wall without the whole wall being destroyed.
Have a wide area of effect. It does not mean the attack is weak. In fact, as you should now be able to appreciate, it is often intentionally designed that way to reflect the exact opposite. Now, of course, I'm also well aware that a lot of people misuse the concept of attack potency, usually in an attempt to upscale their favorite characters using lines of logic that can sometimes be easily seen to be overtly absurd, but on occasion requires a discerning eye to realize why they are fallacious. And if you are interested, I actually go into detail about this in a couple of my other videos. For example, in my The Creation Problem video, I explain why I think it's flawed to try to convert creation feats into attack potency.
I think that's Zeref.
And in my The Power Scaling Problem video, I break down a whole range of issues, from intentional misinterpretations to data book illiteracy and mistranslations, to the basic fact that not every clash or interaction in a story is meant to be scaled. So if you're interested in a deeper dive on those topics, definitely check out those videos. And if you want to see the formalized tiers of attack potency with their corresponding energy equivalents, you can check out the table on the Versus Battle Wiki website. But anyway, for now, I hope this video has helped you understand the principle of attack potency and why it's such an important concept when it comes to discussing characters and their power, not only in the power scaling realm, but even when just casually enjoying the true depth of a story. But anyway, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. But anyway,
yeah, see them ending off the rip, bro, it's terrible, bro. It's gonna put me to the next video. Appreciate that, you know what I'm saying? Steinixos, you know what I'm saying? That's how he called himself. I'm gonna call him Dog Stein. That was the attack potency problem. As always, what should y'all comment down below? Comment your favorite show of power, whether it be physical power feat, whether it be like, oh, you just thought that was cool. Comment that down below. And yeah, man, you know, it's time to see me next. Peace.